What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries. And I'm your host, the Rock and Roll Gypsy herself, Andi Thunders, with the Rock and Roll Nurse. And we've got Terry from XYZ. How are you, man?
I'm great, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Whereabouts are you in the world right now?
I'm in Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles and with my kid, and yeah, I like it here. It's a beautiful day. I went. Today was about, I think it was 80 degrees, so it was great. It was a wonderful day.
Nice. That sounds nice compared to what we got. We're barely struggling to get out of the 50s here in upstate New York.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, I like New York. Where are you in upstate New York?
I'm about an hour outside of Buffalo.
Oh yeah, well, Buffalo's really cold. Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah, Buffalo's wild. It's fun, but it's a bit dangerous. We don't live out that way. We're on the outskirts, but great music scene. Seen a show there in March. It was great, a little punk show, but I love those
Now
little.
Buffalo. What do they call it? Has anything to do with the Buffalo chicken wings?
Possibly, I don't know what came first, the name Buffalo or the Buffalo chicken wing. Oh, here's why we have the nurse.
What is she gonna say?
She's gonna look it up.
Oh, okay, she's gonna look it up. Okay, I know it could be a stupid question, but I've always wondered why did they call it buffalo chicken wings? I don't know. It's just a stupid question. All right, mate, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, I mean, obviously, we XYZ. Before that, when you first started out, what made you want to be in a rock band?
Actually, I didn't want to be in a rock band. I wanted to be a pop a pop singer. I wanted to be like I wanted to be a crooner. Believe it or not,
Okay,
somewhere
so like
like
a Frank Sinatra type thing in a way.
yeah. I wanted to be like my goals was Tony Bennett,
Okay,
uh, Frank Sinatra, Tom Jones. These were my idols.
okay.
Um,
Deep baritone.
and I tried to do that. Yeah, I tried to do that. It just didn't work out for me. I had a TV show when I was 16, an appearance, and that was a disaster and a complete disaster on TV, live on TV. I got booed off the stage, and I was like, "Well, okay." So I realized that the market wasn't ready for me. Um, so I went into rock music. I actually got a record deal when I was 17 and a half with RCA Records. And I was kind of rock, but not super heavy metal, but rock pop,
Yeah.
like the Go-Go's, all that stuff, bubble gum. I mean, I wouldn't say the Go-Go's are bubble gum, but some of the most, a bit bubble gummy. And
Yeah.
2 weeks before releasing the album, the label informed me that I was being dropped. So I said, all right. So I didn't know what to do. I by that time I was like 17 and a half, like 18. Really didn't know what to do, and decided to go to the 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 south of France with my guitar, and I was singing outside those restaurants, trying to raise some money and sing those songs
Yeah.
and
Bus gig, as we call
yeah,
it.
like a lot of people do that, sing in the bars and maybe get lucky with the ladies and whatever. And I didn't raise any money, and guess what? I never got lucky with the ladies either. So a friend of mine passed it to me. Hey man, do you want to call to? You want to come to United States in Los Angeles? I have a record deal. I have a limo. I have girls. I have money. And I was like, yeah, why not? So I left. I took a one-way ticket to Los Angeles, and when I arrived in Los Angeles, there was nothing. There was no record deals. There was no women. There was an old Chevy Nova with broken window. I remember the window that couldn't go up, and I was like, "That's it." And then he said, "Yep." And I said, "Well, no record deal, no women, no nothing." He says, "No." But if I would have told you the truth, you would have never arrived in Los Angeles. I said, "Yeah, you're right." So it's a true story. We struggled a bit. We went to New York. We left Los Angeles. We went to New York. Tried to make it over there and do the club scene, but that didn't happen. we couldn't find musicians. Pat and I couldn't find musicians to to stay with us, and we ended up moving back to Los Angeles after a few years, and we started XYZ. We auditioned so many musicians, um, so many drummers and guitar players, and for a couple of years we played the strip just like everybody else,
Yeah.
and passing out flyers, trying to get recognition and all that stuff. We got to a point where we were so popular that we became the house band at the Whiskey for like a year and a half. Uh,
That's a prestigious honor. People don't understand what kind of an honor that is when you're on the strip. You know what I mean?
it was difficult, but yeah, well, thank you. At one point, the XYZ logo was actually, we made a deal with the Whiskey. We said, okay, we can play here twice a month because it wasn't always sold out. It was always a big crowd. But in exchange, we want our logo to be covering the Whiskey logo. And they said, all right. So for the longest time, people used to call it the XYZ Club. They didn't know it was the Whiskey because the logo was so big that ended up being the XYZ Club, but actually it was the Whiskey Go. And then we were the house band for a year and a half. We had to do 2 or 3 shows a month, always sold out, packed,
Yeah.
and eventually we got signed to a record label.
Because I mean, the other holders of the Whiskey a Go-Go include the likes of legends like the Doors and stuff like that. Like it's a very hollowed venue. That's why it's still around, you know?
Yeah, and there's been only 3 bands, and that's important to know that for the rock and roll listeners. There have been 3 bands that uh, who were actually classified at house band. The Doors were the first one, then Motley Crue, and then us. There's never
Yeah.
been a 4th band. There was a lot of band playing the Whiskey, but
Yeah.
never a house band. Officially, we were the house band of the Whiskey. We had to play about 3 times a month, 2 to 3 times a month, depending on the schedule. But again, we had a great time. I mean, you have to understand the '80s were pretty wild, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's nothing like it is now, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm sure. I mean, I've heard the tales and stories from many a piece. Are there any that you're willing to share, especially from the early days before you got signed and all that?
No, no, not anymore. I can't share that anymore.
Okay.
I have a kid, and
That's fair
no,
enough and respect.
fair enough. But just say that times were wild and people were pretty loose and a lot of things going on. But I was lucky because I was never into drugs and drinking. It was
Yeah.
never my thing because I was doing a lot of sports. I was
I was gonna say you look good for your age, man. I don't know how old you are. I never ask people their age, but you look good.
97, 97.
97.
I uh, I I try to take care of myself. I work out, I mean, we all get old anyway, so we have to accept that.
Yeah.
But we can be getting older gracefully, depending on our health and if we have issues, whatever, But I've always practiced martial arts ever since I was a kid, and that saved me a lot because I was away from drugs and drinking because of that. I was more
Yeah.
focused in being healthy and also hanging with regular people, regular Joe Schmo who are not rock stars, who
Who keep you grounded.
very grounded. Yeah, people who didn't think they were somebody. I mean, they were somebody to me. Those rocks, those martial artists, but they didn't have that mentality of the musician, typical musician. Oh, who? Guess who I am? They never had that. That I trained with some.
No
I
grandiosity.
No. I was grateful to have trained with some of. I mean, I'm not a champion, but I've trained with some of the most famous people in the world, I would say, and.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's quite an honor actually. Every time I still go to the dojo, and every time I go to the dojo, I train with some um, well-known people, and I get my ass kicked, but it's okay. I don't care.
I'm curious, do you ever run into Duff McKagan at all? Because he's in that circle.
Who?
Duff McKagan.
No. I don't know him Well, we met a long time ago when he was playing the strip, but no, not at all. No, not at all.
Okay.
I know his kids were going to a French school. I know that for a fact. But other than that, no, never. There's so
Okay.
many.
He's up in Seattle too. I forget that
Yeah,
sometimes.
LA is a big city, you know. So
Yeah.
LA is a big city, you know.
I know Ricky Rocket is also into martial arts too. I don't know what it is with you guys that getting into martial arts, but it's not uncommon. I mean, Bruce Dickinson has been fencing since like 1983. So, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
Bruce Dickinson
uncommon.
is an amazing. Bruce is an amazing singer. I don't know Ricky Rockman very well. Let's just say that I've never been really close to him, so
Okay.
and vice versa. So
I was just curious if you ever ran into like, fellow musicians in the dojo because there are a lot that go to
yeah,
dojo.
I used to train when I trained with the when I trained at the I had the pleasure of training with Benny Ukides, Benny the Jet, back in the
Nice.
and Benny was one of my sensei, and for 3 4 years.
Holy
And
cow.
Dave Mustaine used to train there all the time. Dave
That's
used to
cool.
train there. David Lee Roth used to train there. Then I moved to a Thai boxing place called the Los Angeles Muay Thai Academy, and that singer from Danzig used to go there all the time. I forgot his name.
Glenn
Nice guy.
Danzig?
I'm sorry.
Glenn Danzig?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice guy. He's big guy. You know, I mean, he's short but stocky and powerful, and he used to train there.
It's
Uh,
actually funny seeing old pictures of him.
I'm sorry.
If you look up on Google, since you've seen him as the big, stocky, short guy, look up what he looked like in his early 20s in the Misfits. It's kind
Oh,
of
really?
funny. It's
Well, he's.
like,
I remember of him training hard, and I remember Dave Mustaine training at the with Ben Yuki days, but I didn't pay attention to what or Dave Mustaine's were doing. Not that I was not interested. It just we had different time. I used to
yeah,
go and take classes with my drummer, actually, Paul Monroe. Him and I used to take privates from Ben Yuki days and all those guys,
yeah,
and then we did some boxing over there. It was it was fun. It's a lot of fun.
yeah. I mean, my exercise is usually skateboarding and stuff like that, but any little bit
Whatever,
helps.
whatever you like. Some people like to walk. Some people like to do. I don't know. Just you need to have something. An outlet.
It's funny talking about being a rock musician and keeping your health in check. Times have changed, haven't they?
Well, as you get older, whether you're a musician or whether you're whatever you're a nurse or whatever you do for a living, I think honestly you really have to take care of yourself because it's never easy as we get older. It doesn't matter if your DNA is whatever. It's never easy. Once you pass the 40 years old, you realize that it's not easy. So
Yeah.
uh, stay in shape. I mean, I don't smoke. I don't drink. It doesn't mean my I don't have any health issues. We all have health issues as we get older. We
Yeah.
just think to we just have to minimize the problems by taking care of ourselves, drinking a lot of water and
Hmm.
exercising and watching what we eat. So that's all.
So one thing I was curious about going back to XYZ in the early days, from what I can gather, you released an EP in 1983, but you didn't release a debut album until 89. Is that correct?
That is correct. What happened is Pat and I grew up in France, and he called me one day and he said, "Hey, would you like to do a demo?" I said, "Yeah, you pay me." So he paid me to do a demo, and I got to be honest with you, I really didn't want to be into rock music. I really didn't like the band. I didn't like anything about it, and I was not. He pushed me to do it. Come on, I'll pay you. I'm like, all right. I did it for the money, and not for the passion. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And I I did the demo in 1983, 84, and I came to Los Angeles in 1986. So it took a few years before we did anything, and we released the EP. I think we printed like 2,000 copies, and that's about it. We never sold anything. We just gave them away. Nobody wanted to buy them. So
Yeah. And so that was 1986. That would be 3 years after you recorded it. Then
Yeah.
3, roughly. Okay. So you come to LA in 86. Do you just kind of join up with the rest of the guys again? Is it a different lineup than what you worked
No,
on the EP?
we were trying to put a band together. We had a drummer at one point and a different guitar player at one point. We were playing the clubs, trying to build a name. I think our first show was 1986. I'm not sure.
Do you remember the first club you played?
Yeah, Madame Wong in Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah. I hear that mentioned a lot in biographies of
Yeah,
the new band. And
yeah,
all.
Madame Wong. Our first show we played at 12:30 on a Sunday night. There was maybe two people, uh, two drums,
Yeah,
and it was great. And then for me, I was happy to be able to play. I mean, at the time, wow, I'm playing,
yeah. It was
and
just the
after
start.
that, when I'm Wong and all the clubs, there were so many clubs in Los Angeles back then. It was very easy to play. Nowadays, all the clubs have disappeared. There's really not much left.
The whiskey's still there in some
Whiskey is
capacity.
an institution, Whiskey Roxy in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, and then you have a couple of theaters, but that's about it. It's all gone.
Well,
You
and
know,
the Rainbow, right? That's still there,
but the
right?
Rainbow, you don't play the Rainbow. I mean, you could play
Yeah.
upstairs and do a little jam, but it's not
Yeah,
really. It's not really
it's still an
considered.
institution. You know what I mean? Well, that's crazy to think about, walking past, like it could be a suburban looking apartment. It's like that used to be a venue.
Yeah, well, Madame Wong's is actually a condominium now.
That's gotta be weird. I mean, I went back to my hometown and saw a bunch of houses on what used to be farmland and was freaked out. I can only imagine.
It
Like
is
this
what it
used to
is.
be like, and this was where I played my first gig. A condo? No, it used to be a venue. What?
That's life. That's life. Life goes like that. You're here today, gone today.
Well, I mean, maybe that's why kids are so bored nowadays. I mean, you know, inner cities gotta have something for kids to do, and it's a bit healthier to have a music scene than a lot of other things you could have in cities.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? But what was it? What were the crowds like as you were starting out? And you not really being a fan of the music, were you acclimatized to it? Did you learn to appreciate it as
No,
time went?
I was a fan of the music. I see a misconception. I was a fan of the music. It's not what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Of course, I love rock and roll. I listened to rock and roll ever since I was a kid. But
Okay.
it was not what I wanted to do.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
That's why I need to correct myself, correct you. I was a fan of the genre of music for other people. I love
It's just
Scorpions. I
not what
love
you
these
wanted to
guys.
play.
It's not what I wanted. I was not looking to be a rock and roll star. I was more into singing pop music,
Yeah.
but you don't always choose what you want. You don't always have the opportunity to choose. Sometimes you have the cards in your hand and somebody gives you a different card and all of a sudden you have to deal with it. And that's
Yeah.
what happened to me. When I realized that I was pretty good at singing rock, and people, oh, you gotta do rock, So okay. So the more shows I did, the more I realized, oh well, I'm not too bad at it, so might as well do that. So
That's really cool though, that like it wasn't what you wanted to play personally, but you still felt this desire, like I have to do this. You know what
yeah,
I
well, I
mean?
love to sing. Yeah, Andy, I love to sing. So whether it's rock, pop, whatever, I love to sing. But
That's
I
awesome.
realized that people appreciated my voice to a certain extent. So I was like, okay, so might as well do
Work
that.
with what you got, right?
I'm, I'm sorry.
I said work with what you got, right?
Work with what you got and work with what somebody gives you as well. Put it
Yeah.
this way, I realized that rock was my way, so I'm like, okay, why not? Let's do that.
How was the public reception? Did you get a pretty strong fan base early out, or did it take a bit of time?
No, not at all, not at all. It was very difficult. We couldn't get anything. Nobody wanted to sign us like all the bands on the strip. Really, I think we were the last one to get signed. Actually, officially, the XYZ was the last band to get signed and become some type of success. We were the last band. If we would have gotten signed 2 years prior to that, I think the band would have been much bigger. But by the time we got signed, Nirvana was already was already coming, and
Yeah, they were already like playing full tours of
yeah,
Europe.
yeah. By the time we got signed, we released the first album. Nirvana, all the Seattle bands were already there, so it was a bit of a delay for us. But it's okay, life, you can't always decide. So I said, all right, we had a great 3 4 years, and that was it.
It's honestly something that still holds up today, to the point that, you're talking to someone who's 30 years old, who's a fan of your work, who wasn't even alive really when it first was, fresh and new. That alone should speak volumes. And especially with the advent of the internet, I'm sure more people have found your band, and you've gotten more,
Yeah, the internet is a good thing, somehow, and a bad thing as well for another
yeah.
reason. But it's a good thing because you discover things you would have never discovered if you didn't have the internet. So it's a good thing,
Yeah.
For that.
Because there's so many underground things and so many other things from all over the world that isn't mass marketed in the US or hardly anywhere, that you can just stumble upon, and it's like your own little hidden secret.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I've talked to other guys. There's guys who have been around for 50 years in an underground fashion who are going to South America for the very first time this year, due to the advent of the internet, being able to, have access, which is a double-edged sword, because that also means it's a lot harder to actually make money off the physical product anymore.
Right.
So when it came time to get signed, what was that like for you, and what was recording the first record like? I know it was produced by Don Dokken, wasn't it?
Yeah, the album was pretty much ready to go. Pat and I pretty much produced I mean, I wouldn't say we produced the first album, but I would just say that we delivered the album. The album was
Okay.
ready to go. Don decided to produce the album, which was the producer is, and he gave it he added his own touch to that, and it's wonderful. And it was a great experience. I mean, we were signed. We had we toured the world. When you get that special moment, you're like, oh my god, I did it. And then out of the sudden you're like, wow, now what's next?
Right.
Yeah, you work really hard for something, and since you're 7 8 years old, you have that dream, to be successful, and then you get the deal, and then you start touring, and everybody's talking about you. You're on MTV and all that stuff, and
You're like, now what?
then what? And then that's always my thing, is now what? I always look forward. I don't
Yeah.
I don't like to sit on my laurel and say, okay, I'm the greatest. I'm not the greatest, and I don't think that way. I think that,
Well,
okay.
any real musician doesn't think they're the greatest. They hate listening to their own work because they hate hearing the things that they could have done that they didn't, or, oh, there's that little mistake there that nobody else notices.
Well, I'm extremely critical of my work. I don't appreciate always my work because I'm so critical that
Right?
I'm like,
I can relate to that.
I don't listen to my stuff. So, but anyway, after that, we got signed, we toured, and then after that, we broke up, and then we went different ways, and we did different things. That was the world. I realized that there was other things beside rock and roll, and I did. I got myself a job, and I
Yeah, I was gonna ask what you did in that, downtime.
We did a lot of different things. I worked at a bar. I became I was really good at. I'm a people person. I was really good at communicating with people. So I worked at a bar, and for a long time, actually, I was managing the bar. I was bartending. I was a waiter. Then I was bartending. Then I was a bouncer. I had a bouncer with me, but I had somebody. I was telling him, yeah, you can come in. No, you can, because it was a very popular bar. It was a nightclub, actually. It was a nightclub, and I had that nightlife, and I was happy. I was making really good money, but I was missing the music scene. So I went back to. I chose a different route. I did voiceover. I went into. I did a bunch of things like the Rugrats and all that thing. I was
Oh,
doing.
really?
I was singing I was doing singing animation, and it was a lot of fun.
What
And then
what things did you do on the Rugrats? Because I grew up with that
I,
cartoon.
I did the Rugrats in Paris. So with the big,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
What? No, I mean like what part? I'm trying to remember and figure it
I was never, when you sing a new animation, I was never the main character. I was always like, I was preparing songs for people,
Okay.
meaning they would need a singer to prepare the song for another singer. But most of the time,
Gotcha. Okay.
many times they were actually keeping my vocals. Many times they say, "Oh, you know what? His voice is pretty good. Let's keep that as well." Good. And you get sad,
Is there
and you get a
anything
lot
in
of money. You can
particular?
do.
Because I'm gonna try to look this up and find it now.
You will, and yeah, I did that, and I did a lot of little voiceover jobs that were paying the bill. And then after that, I released an album on my own called "Letter to God." After that, and what else after that? After that, I joined Great White. That was it.
Oh wow. I was not aware that you joined Great White too.
Oh, okay.
What was this around the early 2000s or?
I was it 2009?
Oh, okay. I was still in high school then. I wasn't completely sure on that. Because I know there was times where like
Okay.
John Corabi was in Rat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, John was in Rats. John did a lot of great things. He was in Motley
yeah,
Crue.
John's someone I'm trying very hard to get on this show because I really like his work. You know, I have the second Union album signed by Bruce Kulick. I love that stuff. You know, did you ever work with any of those guys? Have you ever worked with any fellow, like John Corabi or, any of the guys from the scene?
I mean, we've been on stage together. I think I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I mean, I've known John for a long time, but we never worked together. He does his own thing. I do my own thing. But I think he's a talented guy, very talented guy, and he's a hustler, and I respect that.
Yeah, he's a workhorse.
The work, yes, absolutely. He's really, really good singer and performer, and
And
I
he's really
admire
down
that.
to earth, it seems.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I've never met him yet, but I'd like to. He's someone I always thought was really special that didn't quite get the credit he deserved, much like you guys. Um, so when you reformed XYZ, how did that go? Was it with the original lineup? Were you all still getting along? How was that approached?
Well, Pat and I always got along. Pat is my brother, so we always got along.
Okay.
Paul didn't want to do it anymore, and Mark has been MIA for a long time. So we in the 1990s we had Tony on guitar, and we had Joey Shapiro on drums. So we continued with those guys. We never really broke up. We were just not touring. We were
You
just
were kind of like laying dormant a little bit
yeah.
until the storm
But since the
passes.
90s, we were together, talking to each other once in a while, and then we were supposed to be touring and do big reunion, but I ended up joining Great White for 9 years. So that changed a lot of things. So I had to not stop touring with XYZ.
Gotcha. What was your time like in Great White like? I mean, did you enjoy it? Was it because that's probably different for you than what XYZ was doing? They're more of a bluesy rock band. Did you enjoy it?
Absolutely, the
I mean,
guys
you
were
stayed for
great.
9 years. I forgot. Yeah,
9 years is a long time. I had a great time with the band. The band was great. The people were great. The fans were wonderful. It was a great experience. That was a wonderful time. I mean, there was no, of course, we had our differences like a band,
yeah.
but it's okay.
There was no like fist fight type drama type
Never
things
had
going on with
we,
disagreements
ne-
or whatever.
we never had that. They're great. They're easy guys to deal with. They're easy to get along. They're laid back. They're very laid back, and um, we did 3 albums together, and we had a lot of fun. And I don't regret a moment at all. Nothing. I had a wonderful time with the band and wish them the very best. I don't, you know, it's all good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And I see from your Facebook post, what do you got going on now?
Well, I got so much going on. I mean, I just released an album on Frontiers that did very well, which, yeah, I was surprised.
A solo or under XYZ?
Under it's kind of a solo, but we decided to give it a name called Land of Gypsies.
Okay. I'd
It was
like
pretty
that.
good. Myself and Fabrizio Grossi and producing it. And
Nice. He's really good. He's a Quiet Riot, isn't he?
no, you're thinking Alex Grossi.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. No, but I've seen that name on producer credits a lot on a lot of albums recently. And
Yeah,
they
he's
look
worked with
stellar.
he's worked a lot of big names, and he's a wonderful guy from Italy. And so we did an album and a lot of fun. And then I have myself also another project, more of a Latin fusion, and I really like that as well. And
You're like the third person I've talked to in the rock world that's doing some Latin fusion music.
who else is into that?
Nadir the Priest from London.
Oh yeah,
He's a friend of mine. I interviewed him way back. And Gypsy Lee Pistolero and the Gypsy Pistoleros. He's a dear friend of mine, and they're kind of like a flamenco mixed with the hard rock.
who's that? Gypsy who?
Pistoleros.
The Pistoleros. There's a band called the Pistoleros.
The Gypsy Pistoleros, yes.
Who's in the band?
Gypsy Lee Pistolero, he's the singer. They've been around for a while. They played Rocklahoma back in 2012. So, I
Wow.
mean, but yeah, they're very much like flamenco meets old school hard rock. And they have like a Day of the Dead theme. They're really good too. Might be worth checking out. I'm not trying to, but it's interesting how like all these like guys you'd think that would be like these hardcore rock guys are doing all this different stuff. It's really nice to show that there's more.
Well, I think as an artist, you have to branch out and you have to open up. You can't just be personally. That's what I think. But now some people would differ. I mean, I personally think it's important to branch out and listen to all kinds of music and do different.
Yes.
Now, some people would disagree, and that's fine with me. I love all kinds of music, and I don't want to be stuck with one thing. I do love hard rock. I love blues. I love anything. I love Latin music. Really, whatever I feel, I will do.
I get down to folk and jazz from the 30s, man.
Well, there you go. You love that stuff. Good for you.
You know, it's all good music. I mean, there's something in almost every genre, I think, for everybody. At least one artist, you know, that you can get into. Tom Waits got me into jazz. But are there plans for XYZ to play some gigs here coming up?
Yeah, we're playing rock. We're playing M3 Sunday.
Nice.
Sunday, and we're playing Sunday, and then we have some dates in Colorado in June. A bunch of shows, but we'll see what's going to happen this Sunday. You know, we'll see. We have a new agent, so we'll see. You know, I'm looking forward to doing this. I do one thing at a time. I'm looking forward to doing Sunday M3, and then after that, we'll see what's going to happen.
If it all goes well, I'd hope to see you up towards Buffalo, my friend.
Yeah, I love Buffalo. It's a great place. I played Buffalo with a Great White many times. I love it. Love it over there.
Nice. Well,
So, hold on. Since you have a three, so I did see your post, Terry, that two of the band members you had to replace because they couldn't go to M3.
That is correct.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate? I mean, you don't have to say why, but who did you replace and who did you get to replace them?
Well, I got the drummer. I replaced Joey with the original XYZ drummer, Paul. So Paul is back in the band.
Nice.
And
bringing the old guys back in. That's awesome.
yeah, I got the old guys back. And
Well, the original chemistry is important, I'd imagine.
yeah, I know. I've known Paul for 35 years, so yeah, we've always been friends. Paul is a strong, very strong drummer, really good drummer. And then the guitar player, my guitar player Tony, is actually in rehab right now.
Okay, best
Oh,
wishes to him.
He's been in rehab
yeah.
for a few months, so he's not going to be able to make it. So
Well, yeah, but that's important to get, to
yeah,
get
so
right, right?
Are
I
you
let him know.
supporting
Yeah,
him, or is it a
no,
kind of a burned bridge situation?
no, I love Tony. There's no
Okay,
such thing as
fair enough.
burning bridges.
I was just curious because it could go either way.
No, no, no. I don't burn bridges. I love Tony. I love everybody I've worked with. I've even people in the past I've worked with. I don't do that. I'm still friends with members of Great White. I don't have an issue. We
That's
move on.
cool.
That's life, you know.
That's
But
refreshing.
no, Tony. Yeah, Tony's in rehab, so
Best wishes to him.
I don't think he's ready to come back yet. So we're gonna be using somebody else at the M3, and Pat was in. And happened to Pat, he's got exposed to a lot of people in that had COVID actually. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so he called me. He says, you know what? I don't know if I have COVID or not, but I can't. I'm not sure I should come and expose you. And you know, I said okay.
Yeah.
So I decided to ask somebody else, and it's fine. It's just for one show only. They're coming back after June, so it's all good.
So the original drummer's not going to stay?
I don't know. I have no idea. The original drummer is doing M3, and I don't think so. I think Joey Shapiro is coming back. You know, Joey's been the drummer with us for 30 years.
Oh,
So
okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
just curious if that was
no,
going.
30 years. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen.
Nice. It's very refreshing to hear a rock singer from, the late 80s scene that doesn't have any real beefs with anybody that they've worked with and stuff.
No, Andy, life is too short. Before we know it, it's over. So we're
Right.
all getting older, and yeah, of course, I had some issues with some people in the past, but I pretty much cleared the air. Pretty much sent messages to everyone and said, you know what? Why be upset? Why let's be, and sometimes I'm the bigger guy and I just make the first move. I'm like, hey man, have a nice life and wish you the very best. And most of the time they reply. Some of them reply and they're like, fuck you, and I don't care. I don't care at all. I'm a dad. I'm raising my kid. Most important thing is to go on stage and have a good sound, please the fans, please and bring money to my family and
Yes.
and I don't care about the animosity and the guys talking. Oh, I'm better than you. I'm better.
Who cares?
I mean, really, I really don't have time for that. I'm grateful to have had such a wonderful journey. I'm grateful to have fans. I'm grateful to be healthy, and the future is still, I'm not. It's not over yet. So, that's all. That's all. It's all good.
To quote Joe Strummer, you could say the future is unwritten.
That's right. Future is unwritten. Kind of. I'm not quite sure about that, but all right.
Well, at the end of the day, and this is something I ask all of my guests, what is it that you love about music that keeps you going to this day?
Music makes me happy. That's all. Music makes me happy, and I know that through my music, I make other people happy as well. Music is an incredible feeling. It's a tool, a wonderful tool to communicate with people from all over the world. It's a beautiful thing. I continue singing and performing because I love it, not for the money. The day I not appreciate being on stage or whatever is the day I would quit. I'm not going to be one of these singers that are going to say, oh, one more year, so I can get the dough. I can get money other ways, So yeah. I love music because it brings something into my heart, and it brings something to other people's heart. That's all. It's just that communication, that wonderful moment, whether it's 10,000 people or 2 people, I don't care. I will perform the same way. I will give you the best that I have to give you at the moment. And the day I don't feel that anymore is the day I will say bye.
That is just absolutely fair enough and totally respected. And I hope you take this as a compliment, but you do remind me quite a bit of Sylvain and the way he was about life and music. He was the rhythm guitarist in the New York Dolls.
Oh, okay.
And he was from Egypt originally, but he grew up a lot in France. They were actually exiles from the government and stuff.
Yeah.
But I talked with him a few times, and I don't know, there's some French wisdom there, I think, that you inject into rock and roll, and I like it. So keep doing it.
Thank you.
This has been a huge honor for me. I hope to catch you in Buffalo, and you got my support all the way. Do we have anything else from the nurse before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just have, my question I always ask. What advice do you have for young people coming up now who want to be in the music field? I mean, what advice would you give them? Or if you could have changed something back when you were younger, what would that have been? Everybody knows I have a 16-year-old grandson who is a drummer, and he's quite good. So he's wanted to be a musician since he was 4. So, I know a lot of musicians have said since they were very young, they knew. So was that your case as well? When you were a little child, did you migrate towards music? Or
I think I don't know if I'm qualified to give advice to people.
Yes, absolutely. You went through all of this, so you are definitely qualified.
I think, well, thank you. I think I would say learning your craft as much as you can, owning your craft, not just learning it, owning your craft, meaning being as good as you could be. Meaning if you're a drummer, study all kinds of things, not just one genre, music, because whatever else you're going to study from different styles is going to help you with your main style. It will. And that's the way it is. Now, that's one aspect of the music business. I think as an artist, you need to understand business. You need to understand how the business works. Understand that being an artist, you're going to have to read contracts. You're going to have to do all that stuff. And it's not, I know people are going to say, oh, I got attorneys for that. Well, guess what? They're going to screw you. So
the attorneys tried to get your money too, and their piece of the pie. Everybody wants a piece of your art, basically.
I think as an artist, you need to understand how the business works. Meaning, you're not going to become an attorney, but you need to understand when you read something, you need to understand it. You need to educate yourself. You can go to school for that, business school. You can do all that stuff, but you need to have that down. Don't only rely on the fact that you're good. Good is not good enough. That's all I have to say. You can be the greatest guitar player in the world. I've seen some of the greatest guitar players. I've seen some of the greatest singers in the world, and they're still eating at McDonald's. There's nothing wrong working at McDonald's, by the way. I'd like to tell that. But if what you wanted to do is become someone in the music business, then it's best to learn your craft, not and own your craft. I'm saying the business part of it.
Jimi Hendrix was a great guitar god, but he had a terrible deal with his manager.
Well, I mean, you need to rely and ask yourself questions. What do they want from me? What is it? So and also be very positive. Don't be a negative. Don't think just because you're good at something that you're better than other people. You're not better than nobody else. There's no such thing as some of the nicest people in the world, like Eddie Van Halen, who was the guitar player of all guitar players, was the nicest guy in the world. So you have to stay humble, and you have to be humble, not just stay humble. You have to really be humble and accept criticism and when somebody gives you a critic, just don't think, oh, what does he know? What does he know? I'm better than that. No, just listen to that person and say, all right, maybe I can do better, and I'll do better next time. I think it's important to do that and to be that person, to make the effort, to want to be some, I mean, that's what I think, I think the reason most people don't become who they could be or who they want, I would say, it's because most of the time they are too attached to who they've been in the past. I don't know if you understand that, but who they've been in the past. They have too many luggages, and that stops them from moving forward in life. We all have luggages in life, but we need to somehow to realize that if those luggages drag you down, you're not going to be able to swim toward the shore. You're not going to be able to see the light, because they're going to be on top of you all the time. Oh my God, I can't see. So you have the faith, that's good. You need to believe, yes. And you need to own your craft, yes. And you need to believe so strongly that when you believe, they will believe. The dream starts with you, whether you're politicians, whether you're a singer, whether you're an entertainer, whatever you do for a living. The dream's going to start with you. Once you have that dream in you, you can spread it. A great politicians, for example, bullshitter, of course, is definitely someone that knows how to express himself to the people. Some of the greatest and fortunate dictator of this world were really good at delivering the message, and people believed them. Although, of course, the message was terrible, and we all know that. But they were so convincing.
They were still able to get people behind their terrible message.
They were so convincing that people are like, wow. So I'm saying, as an artist, because you were referring to artists, you need to believe that what you're bringing to this world, the music you're creating, is so real and so strong that they will accept it as well. The dream starts with you, and then moves so with other people.
That's a damn good quote to quote you on. The dream starts with you. That's the title of this episode. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. I'm definitely going to. I'll have him watch this one.
And I can vouch on everything
so
he said, because even as just a musician myself, just for my own self-pleasure for how many years, I grew up playing to the first Sex Pistols album, the first Pink Floyd record, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, very psychedelic, and AC/DC and stuff like that. So I was literally genre hopping when I was learning how to play bass, which is the rudimentary, So
again, as your grandson, the nurse, or tell him that owning his craft, meaning I do believe that if you want to be a great drummer, you're going to have to really study drumming.
Yes.
Like for real, not just like
No.
You have to work with your metro, and then you're going to have to listen to other drummers and see what they're doing. At the same time, it would be a good thing to go to school and learn business, and also have what I call be street smart.
Yes, street smart is very important,
because there's a lot of snakes, a lot of sharks out there, and they want a piece of you. So
I was in a know-nothing band, and there was one of them trying to get at me, saying I was the star of the band. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Well,
we suck.
Well,
yeah. When he was 4, Terry, this is a real short story. He had said, I don't need to go to school. I'm going to be in a rock band. And my daughter said, you take that. And I said, well, you need to learn how to read, because you don't want your manager to screw you on your contract.
Well, I mean,
I said, and you have to learn math, because you don't want your accountant to screw with your money. And he said to me, makes sense. 4 years old.
My kids pull that because my kids are also Kiss fans like me.
You got it.
I tell them Gene went to college. Gene was a teacher. I'm like, you know, the demon before he became the demon in Kiss, he taught as a teacher in a high school, right?
I
You know,
know.
he went to Juilliard, one of the top colleges in like the world. Yeah.
The colleges, yeah. Well, like I said, and he actually takes lessons from a pretty well-known local musician
Cool.
here. So he's doing. I took him to M3 in 2019, and he got a lot of advice, and funny, Terry, some of the stuff you said was told to him by other artists. So
Yeah.
you know, it resonates, believe me, when a kid really is into what he wants to do,
If he
he
wants to
really
be a drummer, he
listen to
needs to
them.
look up some jazz, I think, too, because some of those
He was
drummers.
actually, yeah, Rod Chinham, that's who his drummer instructor was named Rod Gould. But he's actually been teaching him different things. You know, he actually did some jazz one day. I don't go to his lesson. I don't go about, you know, sit in there. I don't want to be that
Yeah, you don't want to
person.
put pressure on your.
I don't want to be the hoverer.
No.
Guys, I gotta go because I have to go and pick up my kid. But thank you so
very
much for the interview, and have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll be in touch. Okay?
It was very
Thank
nice
you.
to meet
Have a great night.
Yeah, you guys take care of yourself. I really appreciate the interview. Thank you so much.
you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you.
Bye-bye.
Good night. And
Take
best
care of your grandson. Okay?
Oh, I'll tell him you said hello.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
love,
Bye-bye.
rock and roll.